16-year-olds. They are reckless, crazy, immature, and easily distracted. Now take these young teenagers and put them behind the wheel of a vehicle. Things don't turn out pretty. Here are the statistics. On average, 2 people die every day in the USA in vehicles driven by 16-year-olds. And 1 in 5 16-year-olds will have a reportable car crash within the first year of driving. Not to mention, in 2003, there were 937 fatal car crashes within 16-year-old drivers. And within that same year, 352 other passengers were killed. Yeah, you're probably thinking, so what? That doesn't prove anything, or it won't happen to me. Or even, I doubt 18-year-olds are any better. But researchers have also collected data from New Jersey, the only state with 17 as a minimum driving age limit, and found the fatalities much lower than surrounding states. For example, one study showed that car crashes rates among 16 to 17-year-old was 18 out of 100,000 people compared to 26 out of 100,000 in Connecticut. And many more states are learning and leaning toward higher driving ages. For example, 18 out of 50 states get full licenses at or over the age of 18. USA Today has also stated that 18-year-olds are more in control of their emotions. A 16-year-old and many other early teens are going into adulthood, and their hormones are more active. These hormones encourage more risk-taking and thrill-seeking. But as our hormones fire up the judgment part of the brain, which responds to pleasure, emotions are high, which make it difficult to make smart judgments. The NIH Brain Research Center also recently discovered in several brain scans an immature, underdeveloped area in a teenager's brain. This area controls decision-making and where thoughts of long-term consequences spring to consciousness. An 18-year-old's brain is proven to be more developed than a 16-year-old's, which will help him or make wiser decisions, thus decreasing the number of road fatalities and keeping the roads safer.
A lot of people are saying that the driving age should be raised to 18 because of immaturity and things like that. Well, most of it is because of inexperience. If you just raise the driving age from 16 to 18, all it will do is make it harder. All it will do is raise from 16 to 18 on car crashes. Instead of main cause of death being 16-year-olds, it will be 18-year-olds. If we maybe make it harder to get your permit or something like that, and try driving, let's say, giving driver's ed from 15-year-olds, maybe it will stop the car crash rates and stuff. Okay. Charts show that teenagers who take driver's ed are 10, 15, or even 20% less more likely to have car crashes. So basically, why don't we just stop from having, why don't we make it harder to get a license? Because if it's immaturity, they're not going to be studying a lot. So if we raise it from 16 to 18, you're just going to make it harder and harder.
You said that raising the age gives 18-year-olds less experience. Studies in the past few years show that fatalities are caused mostly by immaturity than inexperience. Again, I'm referring to the underdeveloped area in the young teenager's brain. Because it's underdeveloped, they won't have better chances of... Why don't states make a more difficult driver exam than raising the age? Well, anyone can study for an exam. There's a difference between knowing something and following the rules. For example, most criminals know the law, but it doesn't stop them from stealing or killing.
You said that the crime rates and everything it's more because immaturity. Well, most crimes are from 18-year-olds, and 16-year-olds don't really do that many crimes. And most families, like, they need their 16-year-olds to be driving. Like, in my family, I'm going to be having a job when I'm 16, and if I didn't have a way to get to that job, I would not be able to go to the academy because I have to have transportation there. And a lot of families rely on their 16-year-olds to be driving around families, and their main chauffeur are 16-year-olds. And my family has 2 working parents, so they can't always take me to, let's say, school events or things like that. But if I start driving soon, like I will be in the next few years, I will be able to go to these things without a struggle. And it won't be a burden on my parents from having to come home from work every day and then worry about how they're going to get me to, let's say, the next school event or something.
Am I over?
Do I tell that story? Yeah.
In addition to the safety of America's teenagers and the other drivers on the road, by raising the minimum driving age to 18 will lower auto insurance rates for all drivers and lower the cost of crashes. Just 7 years ago, the American society had to pay $34.8 billion for the cost of medical expenses, property damage, quality of life loss, and other related crashes than just by 15 to 17-year-olds. We should raise our country's minimum driving age to prevent future deaths, unnecessary payments, and to create safer roads.
Driving is a part of life for teens. It's a necessity for most families. Most families would not be able to function if they didn't have teen drivers. We should try making it maybe harder to get a license, like per se make driving ed mandatory for every state, or even make the driving test a little harder. I'm not saying we shouldn't maybe compromise like they did with gun control. They didn't completely get rid of the gun. They just made it harder to get one. Why can't we do that with the license?